That's gonna make me cry.
You made me cry a little.
That's gonna make me cry.
You made me cry a little. To be fair, I always cry a little.
Remember that bookshelf we was talking about?
Yeah, I do. Is that a bookshelf? Oh, wow. It's so nice. Oh, it's
You
so
like
much
it?
better than I even thought it was going to be. This is the prettiest thing ever. Aw.
And I made it so it'll come apart. And if it won't fit in your car, I'm going down to Alabama and
That's going to make me cry.
And we went to your favorite bookstore up here and
Yeah.
picked you out some books.
Oh, thank you.
Happy
That's-
birthday,
Thank you. Oh, give me a hug.
Do you love it?
Oh, I do. I do love it. Oh, it's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh.
and look at the books.
I know the books are really good. I like this one. You know,
It's on its
I've
way.
actually wanted to read that.
Now I don't know if this is the whole book.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh,
Or if this is just I don't know.
I don't know.
But
It's part of it.
it's
It's
actually
the good
this
parts.
is good.
It's
This
the
is
good parts.
Well, we went over to is it White Pine?
yeah.
Gosh, we spent 3 or 4 hours the other weekend.
I recognize
Your dad
this
loves
one.
it, the White
You
Pine
recognize this
store.
one?
I do.
Are you still draw that?
Look what Camille drew when she was a
Not here. Aw.
That's so sweet. This is a beautiful bookshelf.
You like
Isn't
it?
It is. It almost kind of looks like like the cutting board almost, like
it
the
kind
block.
of looks like our floors in the house.
It kind of does look like the floors in the house. Is that, is it Oh, that's funny. I knew that looked familiar. No, it's beautiful. I love it.
Look, I made it on an angle so it would be square.
I know.
So those go
It's
in
perfect.
2 inches.
And
The
it's-
shelves go
it's
in
like a
2
stair
inches this
stepper.
way.
Yeah.
And the bigger books, of course, down there.
Yeah.
So do you know right where you're going to put it?
I think I do.
It should fit in those measurements you
I
sent
think
me.
that well, now, I don't know. It might look good where mine is right now. Like behind since it's so tall, it might look good behind the couch.
Yeah.
So I'll probably play around with it.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful. The pretty ones will go up here.
Well, cool. Glad you like it.
Cool, I know, I love it. You made me cry a little. To be fair, I always cry a little.
Well, I guess I'm nothing special.
Yeah, a little special. Special ed.
Okay, we got the bookshelf done. It's going to be a surprise gift for the daughter that's coming in this evening or this weekend. We actually went to a bookstore down in White Pine, Tennessee, and picked up some books for her. The Book of Herbs, Grow What You Love, Perishable Poetics, and of course, she needs to learn some survival stuff, what I haven't taught her already. A look at life from a deer stand. Lights are shining. Handy book of knots. Everybody should have that one. Times are coming. And Aesop's Fables. Well, let's see what's in here. The Hare and the Tortoise. The sun come out. It's been days. How nice is that? Gonna be 70 degrees today. Blue sky. And if you look up there, there's a great big solar flare. Ah, nice. Nice to get some daylight or some sunshine. Just makes you feel good. Yeah. Feels good. All right, what am I doing? Oh yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Two Turtles Homestead. Gonna be surprising my daughter with a bookshelf. I want to build her something unique and something that'll last, you know, something a little more solid. Then I'm gonna show you. Sitting around the house the other day, and I looked down at the floor, and I was like, you know, I got a bunch of that old hickory flooring left. Well, not a bunch, but enough. And I was like, that might look kind of neat as a bookshelf. It's gonna be a little tricky to build. It's gonna be a little heavy, so I have to build it, I guess, where she could take, or I could take it apart, and then she'd be able to put it back together when she gets it home. So we'll just go from there. It's gonna take me a couple weeks to get it. It's gonna be kind of a furniture grade, you know, not just something you go buy as a bunch of particle board stuff, but should last for a lifetime. So hopefully. And if it don't fit her decor, she could always put it in a spare bedroom or something and put a book up there. I have the worst father ever or something. So so this is a bunch of the hickory flooring. I think it's about 4 inches wide or so, 3.5, something like that. Hickory's got a lot of different colors. I'm probably not going to stain it. I'm probably just going to do a clear coat, and it'll darken stuff up and highlight the grains, which will look pretty neat. It'll be something different for sure. But anyhow, had some scrap plywood pieces left over, a good grade plywood. It's like a finished grade. It's great for shelving. It's like a 7 or 8 ply, I think. So it won't. It's not like the regular plywood you buy. It won't be real warpity. This will stay straight. And then yesterday, this would be one of the shelves here. Basically 3 boards wide. So that'll be a board there, or a shelf. We'll have 6 of them total. Everything's cut a little long, so I'm gluing this down and nailing it. And then I'll come back and cut all the sides, cut them all to the same length, and then I'll put it on table saw and rip this front off, this little front tongue and groove section. And then I think what I'm gonna do is, if you could see, this would be one shelf here. Keep in mind I'll get all that stuff ripped down. I'm gonna paint them. So I'll probably rip a piece about 1.75 inches when that's ripped down. Of course, it won't have that groove on it. It'll be a solid. I'll rip all this stuff down. And that would be like the front edge, about 1.75 inches wide, about like that. And then I can cover up all that spacing of that stuff. Excuse me. Much better. Does anybody remember these from school? I even wonder if they still have them these days. Once a hare was making fun of a slow, plodding tortoise. I do feel rather sorry for you, he said mockingly. I bet you wish you were as fast as me. No one ever beats me. Let's see, said the tortoise quietly. What? You mean you want to challenge me to a race? Haven't done the math and probably not gonna, I'm just gonna do the math as I go. Because I don't, sometimes I just like to freestyle it. Hooted the hare in disbelief. You must be mad. But nevertheless, he thought it would be a fine joke to race the tortoise. He could show off to all his friends and make fun of the tortoise all at the same time. And he asked, it's probably hard to tell on camera, but 2 inches shorter at the top than the bottom there. Kind of run on a little angle. I think the finished look will look a little better for a freestanding bookshelf. All right, on to the shelves. Some decent progress for the night. Of course, that's the top of the shelves. And then there'll be one there at the bottom. Got all the shelves cut. And of course, I started with the very bottom one. Since the very bottom shelf is a little longer than the rest of them. They gradually decrease. So I started on the bottom and worked my way up. That way if I messed one up and cut it a little short, it would work for the one above. Keep me from having to redo any of that stuff because I don't have any extra. Got to get back on Camille's little project here. And got a bunch of sanding to do. Let's see, no spiders and no stink bugs. So we're good. Here we go. Fun times. Excuse me. All right, we got the sanded down to 80 grit. I got to put a little bit of Bondo in some of these nail holes before we do the final sanding, but it's going to look pretty neat, I think. That'll work. Don't want to put too much on there. Give me a little bit of time to work it in. That might have been too much. We'll mix up another batch if we have to. It says this is paintable, stainable. So we gotta hurry now. All right, got those ripped down. Got me a nice little pile of kindling all cut up. And then got all these ripped. These will be for the sides. I kept them a full 3/4 inch. It's gonna run down this side right here, add a little stability. Since all that's on a piece of 1/2 inch plywood, it could want to walk a little bit. That'll help stiffen that up. This will be the trim for the bottom shelf. It's a full 3/4 and it's a little taller than the rest because of the way, just because of the way it is. And then this other shelving, this will shelving pieces. This will come across the front and sides of the shelves, and I ripped it all down to 3/8 to cover up that plywood joint over there on all those, where I could glue it, and maybe I could tack it with a nail gun, putty the holes. And this is hickory, it's really hard, so I figure if I made it a little thinner, I could do that. And also the way it's going to finish out, I'll show you when we get to that point. But there's that. All right, I don't remember where I left off the other day, but the bookshelf is coming along. I got these screwed in temporarily, and then kind of keeping everything square right there and putting on these trim pieces, which cover all that up, which is that. And it's gonna look pretty good. All I have to do, a little 18 gauge nail there, little putty, take everything apart, a little putty, a little sand, and then still got to figure out what brackets I'm going to make right there. But it's coming along. Fun times. He could show off to all his friends and make fun of the tortoise all at the same time, and he asked the fox to act as the judge. The race began, and sure enough, the swift hare bounded out of sight before the tortoise was even across the starting line. Okay, so I finally figured out the design I wanted to put on this with the metal support system. And I've opted for this look, and I'll kind of explain it. The shelves stagger in height incrementally all the way down. And also, if you're looking at the face of it, the shelves stagger, they taper towards the top. So, you'll be able to understand it better when it's standing up, but this bottom support right here, I opted to put 2 rods for the stability, and then I've got a straight line down through here, and these taper. So it's basically towards the middle of each shelf that kind of tapers at an angle. It's hard to see now, but it'll kind of follow down gradually, and kind of down at an angle like that. So I think it's going to look pretty neat, and then when she puts her books in, she won't have to worry about the bookends or anything, stuff falling off. That'll hold the books in, whatever. So, I'll take these off and do the final weld and clean them up the best I can. Ain't gonna be real pretty. It's definitely gonna look homemade, but that's cool. Yep. All right, we'll keep going. Well, she's empty. Looks like I'm gonna have to go to town. Oh, I was not planning on that. It's looking pretty decent though. Scanning, and I gotta go out into where people are. Oh well, poopers. Okay, back from town. Well, where were we? I can tell you one thing, I need some new glasses. Can't hardly see the wire. Put my welding hood on. Yeah, here we go. There's one side. And bam. All right, I'll do the other side. Bring y'all back after a while. Fun times. But the tortoise didn't give up, putting one foot in front of the other at his own gentle pace. He made his way steadily and patiently along the road. Far up ahead of him, the hare decided that he would show the tortoise just how foolish she had been to challenge him to a race, and lay down beside the road for a quick nap, knowing that he could easily catch up. The tortoise plodded on, and after a while he passed the sleeping hare and carried on his way without the hare waking up. When the hare did wake up with a start, he couldn't see the tortoise anywhere on the road. Running as fast as he could, he saw his rival almost at the finish line, and although he tried with all his might, he could not overtake the tortoise in time. Moral of the story is slow but steady wins the race. Well, sorry, I had to turn the video sideways. This thing's about 6 foot tall. But looking at it from the side, you kind of have that. I'll try to back up a little bit. We still I gotta take it back apart and do all the finish work to it. Finish welding. The eagle and the fox. An eagle and a fox once struck up an unlikely friendship. They decided to live near each other. We got it ready to put just gonna put a clear coat on it, and just so happen to have some stuff left over for when we did our floors. And I like using this stuff when you do the floors especially. It's easy to work with, water-based, doesn't stink real bad. Got to mix it up real good, but this is the sealer. We'll put a coat of it on. After it dries, do a real light sand, and then with some like 220 or 400, wipe that off, and then I have a satin clear coat of the same name brand stuff to put on it. I like the finish, looks good, doesn't yellow real bad, and some good stuff. You just put this on with a one of these little foamy things, bristly things, real easy peasy. Just the clear coat takes it from this, which is just raw, fresh sanded, to this. Doesn't yellow, just kind of highlights everything. It's real pretty. Easy to put on. Show you. And so, when the eagle built her nest at the top of a tall tree, the fox made a den in the undergrowth below, and there she raised her cubs. But times were hard for the eagle, and she had many hungry mouths to feed. One day, when she had nothing to offer her little eaglets, she swooped down to the ground below while the fox was out and seized one of the young cubs, which she took back to the nest to feast upon with her children. When the fox returned to learn of her friend's treachery, she was outraged, of course. She was heartbroken at the loss of her cub, but what made her furious was the thought that there was no chance of her taking any revenge upon the eagle, for she could no more climb the tree than she could fly up to the nest. She could do no more than throw curses at her faithless friend while the eagle looked on from above, unworried. Nevertheless, a short time after this, when the eagle was searching for food, she came upon an altar where some townsfolk had been sacrificing a goat. Swooping down, the eagle snatched up a chunk of meat to carry back to her nest, but in her haste, she did not notice that some hot coals were still stuck to it. When she dropped the food into her eyrie, the coals fell into, and the wind fanned the sparks and swiftly kindled into flames the dry twigs of the nest. The eaglets, who were too young to fly, were roasted in their nests and then fell to the ground, where they were gobbled up by the fox as their mother watched on helplessly. The moral of this story: God is the ultimate judge. Amen to that.